Welcome back. It is the Too Much Curb podcast. Monaco Grand Prix edition. Woo! This is the golden crown of Too Much Curb podcast because it's Monaco Grand Prix. Nelson Piquet once famously said, "To tell you the truth, I hate Monaco. It's like riding a bicycle around your living room." But no, yeah, it's the crown jewel of Formula One. And it was terrible. I almost feel bad saying that the Portuguese Grand Prix was boring. Because wow. That was so bad. I never watched Monaco before, obviously. Well, through all of my expertise of watching the entire last season and the 7th race this year, not the 7th race this year, 5th race this year. It's the 7th episode of the podcast. Happy 7, everybody. It's a Kimi Räikkönen episode. But anyway, yeah, it was the most different race I've ever seen. It didn't really make sense to me. And we've all heard that. I've heard that Monaco was really bad when it came to racing. And I've played Monaco in video games before. I've played in the F1 games, and I think they had it in Gran Turismo. Not my favorite track, but a very difficult track to race in. So the general consensus is that watching qualifying is the best part, and watching the race, it sucks. The race gets decided on Saturday, and for some people it did. Qualifying was a lot of fun to see. That was crazy right there at the end with Charles Leclerc. Max is on that fast lap, beating his time and headed for pole, and boom, biffed it. 18 seconds left, and Max is cursing up a storm. This is very odd. Max doesn't really curse that much, but yeah, but it was a really bad race. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting, a few overtakes, but mostly the world's most expensive parade. Is it the most expensive parade? I'm interested in seeing that, because the Macy's Day Parade, I'm sure, is very expensive too. No, it's got to be the most expensive parade. Not one single race overtake. I'm going to say that again. Not one single race overtake. Usually something like 10 overtakes, like a few overtakes, a handful of overtakes, is pretty bad. I mean, there was race overtakes, but they're all on lap 1. And I think that officially those don't necessarily count as in race overtakes. Schumacher took over Mazepin on that hairpin, which is a ballsy move. Great move there. That was really cool to see. But yeah, other than that, nope. Everything was done through pit strategies. So let's talk about the quality of the race that was Monaco, not Monaco. Sorry. What can be done at Monaco to make the racing better? Because I've heard that the track has been updated, throughout the years, but honestly, you can't really do too much. It's a street circuit. It's a historical street circuit. It's the historical street circuit. You can't get rid of that. You can't get rid of the Monaco Grand Prix. It is the crown jewel of Formula One. Everybody knows what Monaco is. I was telling everybody, Monaco Grand Prix is this weekend. Woo! It was my Zoom background at work. I was excited. I hope nobody watched it because of me. It's the Formula One race, and it is so boring. If I was not a Formula One fan and I just wanted to see the Monaco Grand Prix for the first time, I would be turned off by what I saw this Sunday. You know, there was a few highlights, and we'll talk about that later, but for the most part, it was terrible. But what can be done? So it's always been a very crowded circuit. You know, everybody complains that the cars are too big, that they're too big for Monaco. They're too long, especially, and they can't pass each other. And the next year's regulations aren't going to change that much. They're going to get a tiny bit shorter, but not nearly enough. Not anything notable. If you compare Formula One cars today and what they used to be, it's incredibly surprising. I think that Formula One cars are just as long as like full-size vans. Even the LMP ones, you would imagine those cars to be very, very long. They look a lot larger than they are, and then you see comparison pictures or you see how short they actually are in length and in height, and they're a lot smaller than Formula One cars. So that is always a part of it. But yeah, I mean, it's just a part of it. You know, Monaco is just one of those. Is just that race. It's like it's not so much about the race. It's truly driver versus track, which was insane that nobody crashed at all. I mean, besides, you know, practice and qualifying, you know, obviously Charles crashed in qualifying and Mick Schumacher crashed in qualifying, but not qualifying, he crashed in practice. But during the race, I was really expecting somebody, you know, props to all of those drivers, because I for sure thought there was going to be some yellow cars and yellow flags. And most of the drivers thought that there was too. There was not a single yellow flag the whole race. Everybody through 8th place was lapped. Lewis Hamilton was the next car to get lapped in 7th place. That's crazy. You know? But yeah. What didn't help with how bad the race was how terrible the TV direction was. Oh my God. Who directed that? I heard somebody say that they hire a different company for Monaco every year for some reason. I don't know if that's true, but I believe it just by seeing how bad that was. The only bit of racing we got was when Vettel did the overcut and he raced Pierre Gasly out of the pits. And in the middle of that, they were wheel to wheel. They just go to Stroll, jumping on some curbs. Oh my, like who decided this? That was legitimately good racing. That was good racing for any track. In Monaco, forget about it. And they, you know what's more hilarious is they kept showing replays of it and they would still cut out. Come on. That was, made me so mad. But it's funny because of all the memes are popping up, like just showing really intense situations and then cutting in with the, you know, Lance Stroll with his closed mouth smile and his arms crossed, 18, and him popping on those curbs. That was so frustrating. I missed all of the overcuts. Both of the overcuts. Sergio Perez had no idea how he got to the position that he did. I was so lost, and I don't know. I might have not been paying attention. So, and if that's the case, you know, that's on me, of course. And I missed Vettel's overcut too, besides, you know, the last part. But the pit stops were not very well covered. That's where the true fight was, and it was like that. They covered Bottas' pit stop. Poor guy. I want to know who Valtteri Bottas was in a past life. Why did he anger God so? Why is it he can't catch a break? Why? He seems like a nice enough guy. Why? Lewis is in 7th place. Lewis Hamilton is in 7th place. And Valtteri Bottas is in 2nd, I believe. And the wheel nut can't come off of his car. And he's forced to retire. Why? Why is it that when Lewis has bad luck, Valtteri has like 20 times worse luck? Think about it. Last year in Silverstone, Hamilton's tires popped. Screw it. He wins with 3 tires. He gets it. Bottas, his tires exploded first. He had to pit. He lost positions. This year, was it the Portuguese Grand Prix? When did he get raced hard by Russell? It was the Imola Grand Prix. Lewis gets into the gravel. George Russell takes Valtteri Bottas out. Oof. And now this. Why? Lewis has the most incredible freaking luck in the world. It blows my mind. It absolutely blows my mind. It keeps happening every time. And then there's Leclerc. He's also cursed to never finish at Monaco. This is his weekend to win. If he started at pole in front of Verstappen, I think he would have won this race. But I mean, it's also the same. Well, you think about it too. The reason he didn't start the race is also the reason that Max Verstappen didn't take pole. And if Leclerc was to change out his gearbox, then he would have had to start 5 spaces back. And Ferrari's like, nope, we tested everything. Everything's good. We want to keep that pole position. And everything was not good. Spoiler alert. And Max Verstappen got that first spot, and he kept that spot throughout the entire race. Poor guy. He really deserved that. Ferrari looked fantastic this weekend. Sainz getting that podium, 2nd place there, man. It was a great podium, actually. Verstappen, Sainz, and Norris. Not bad. That's a really fun podium. I think is it the youngest? You know what? It was last year. Monza, I think, was the youngest podium ever, right? Somebody, I think that still counts as the youngest podium ever because they're all young. It's still young. It's probably like right next to it. If it's not the youngest podium ever. Stroll is very young too, and so is Norris. So is Max. Max is young as hell. But yeah, that was fantastic. The McLaren livery. Whew. Boy, don't get me started. Anytime you see a Gulf livery, that's a classic. Anytime. And McLaren really gave the fans what they wanted when they announced that Gulf sponsorship. They wanted to see that. They wanted to see that blue and orange. Not that McLaren isn't already blue and orange, but that Gulf light blue and orange. And then Lando's helmet and Ricciardo's helmet. Whew. Boy, that was so good. Throwback. throwback. I liked Ricardo's helmet better. Personally, I still liked Norris's really well, a lot too, with the goggles. I think that was really cool. But man, I heard that Gulf is more interested in maybe being more of a mainstay sponsor, a bit more on the forefront because of the reaction that we got from fans. I would love that. I don't know if I want McLaren to be like a Gulf team though. I think I like the fact that McLaren is McLaren. You know what I mean? Like Ferrari, they have the title sponsor of Mission Winnow, sure, but it's still Ferrari. Mission Winnow, actually, you know what? Yeah, I don't know. If you don't know this, if you always think to yourself, what the hell is Mission Winnow? It's Marlboro. It's Philip Morris who owns Marlboro. They own Mission Winnow. It's a bullshit company. It doesn't mean anything. They sponsored Ferrari way back in the day, and then they made it against the rules to be sponsored by tobacco companies because the world has largely moved forward from tobacco. Except, I don't know, when I went to Europe, people smoke like crazy over there. That's something I was very surprised about when I visited Europe versus the United States. Everybody was significantly healthier, less overweight, but so many more people smoked. That was crazy to me. But anyway, yeah, Mission Winnow is a shell company for Philip Morris, and McLaren has that too. A Better Tomorrow, that's another BS company. I don't know which company it is, but it's a tobacco company. So the more you know, if you didn't know. But anyway, I don't want McLaren to have like a title sponsor. I don't want them to be McLaren Gulf. I think it's great having the Gulf livery, but I don't know if a title sponsor is a best thing for the brand. Ferrari doesn't have theirs. They're not Ferrari Mission Winnow. They're just Ferrari. Aston Martin is Cognizant, and Renault or Alpine. Alpine is just by itself. That's a good example too. It's just Alpine. And Mercedes. Mercedes, their biggest sponsor is Petronas. Petronas. It's a Harry Potter spell. I don't know if it's pronounced the same way, but yeah, I think it'd be great for a mainstay. I don't know if putting their branding behind what Gulf is as a company is the best idea, but who knows? I'm not the marketing genius. It was a bad weekend for Ricardo, unfortunately. I'm not too worried though. Like I said, Monaco isn't a very standard race, and you know I understand the reasons that it wasn't so hot this weekend. I think you'll get there. Don't give up hope yet, fellas. So the title fight. Maybe we do have a fight on our hands. I keep catching myself not wanting to believe it, that Hamilton is just going to swoop in and just take the championship at some point, which I don't think that's wrong. I still don't think that's incorrect, but Max Verstappen is leading the championship right now, which is a big deal, and I don't want to diminish that at all. But yeah, I want Max to be in that fight, and I want there to be a fight between Lewis and Max. I really do, guys. I'm just having a lot of trouble wrapping my head around it. Lewis was on one this weekend. He was pissed off. He was not very happy with the team at all. It was very shocking. He got, he fell victim to the overcut from Vettel and Perez, and he was not happy at all about it. And, you know, he's very much about, like, we win together, we lose together, all that stuff. But this week seemed like he just wins together. When they lose, it's not his fault. And it's disappointing because I like Lewis a lot. I think Lewis has grown on me a lot, especially this year. And I think he usually has a very good attitude and a great head on his shoulders. This weekend, he was frustrated. He was really pissed about that, the pitch strategy. I think that the game he was trying to play was staying out, and they asked him to come back in. I think that's what happened, and they screwed up the strategy. It didn't go well for him. And the Formula One has been releasing those videos, the comms at the end of the race, which I'm a huge fan of. I think that's really cool. That's one of my favorite things that they're starting to do this year. I like to see what everybody has to say at the end of the race. Lewis is one of the only driver that didn't have anything to say. Bono's talking to him. He's like, hey, sorry, it was a rough race. And it was just awkward silence for like a minute straight. But he was upset. And afterwards in the interview, he was kind of throwing his team under the bus. He was like, bad for them. They need to figure out what's going on. So, yeah, that was disappointing to see from him. But of course, he didn't apologize later, but he was back to like, we grow together. We'll grow stronger than this. Still I rise, still we rise, you and I. But yeah. And how about that interview at the end with David Coulthard and Max? Oh God, that was so incredibly awkward. That was so awkward. And apparently, I don't know David Coulthard very much, but I guess he's a cool guy. You know what I mean? He's got a hell of a jaw. He brought in Serena Williams, who's the one that waved the checkered flag. And in the middle of like interviewing Max, he's like, "Hey, Serena, how's it like being here? You have any advice to Max?" And she's like, "I don't think I can tell him what to do. I think he's the expert." And he's like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, Max is just standing there watching him interview Serena Williams. He just won Monaco, one of the 3 races of the Triple Crown, for the first time in his life, and they're interviewing Serena Williams. Okay, what the hell? That was, I think the question came up that I saw a lot, and it made me think of the idea of Monaco being an outdated concept, just an outdated concept on its own, it just completely. And there is the part of it which I discussed earlier in this episode, which is the racing. The racing is very bad. It's very bad because the cars are a lot bigger. They're more aerodynamically weighted. Let's use that word. They're more aerodynamically weighted than they were before. And they've literally outgrown the track, pretty much. And, maybe down the line they'll make the car smaller, but it's not happening, at least for the next few years. So I think the entire spirit of Monaco, though, is that just how ridiculously lavish it is. This is the race that is brought to you by billionaires and millionaires and people who have multiple Rolex and Pateks and those who drive yachts, and which is has very much been a part of Formula One for a very long time, for its entire existence. Formula One has been very much a rich man sport, and it still is, absolutely still is. I just don't know if being a rich man sport is the direction that Formula One, number one, is going in naturally, and number two, even wants to go in. It is Monaco. People would say that the spectacle is the entire draw of Monaco, which I can see that. I can understand. This year, I think, was a lot more diluted just because of, COVID. COVID's not over yet. There's still restrictions to COVID. I think they only had 40% capacity. But usually what I've seen in years past, what was it? Was it Danny Rick catching like a football on another yacht thrown by Tom Brady? Shit like that. That's what Monaco is. It's just like, yeah, I saw a picture. Somebody said that it was Lawrence Stroll's yacht, but I think it might be Latifi's father's yacht. I don't know what Latifi's father's name is. Latifi's yacht. Either way, two mega billionaires, and the comments around it, including my own, honestly, are just kind of like disgusted by it, because we live in a very different time, and there certainly are people who like worship billionaires and whatnot, but I don't think that's really the case these days. A lot of people have a lot of problems with billionaires. A lot of time, there's no way to become that rich without like doing some bad things. And I don't want to get into it too much, because that's not what this podcast is about. That's not what I really want to talk about in this podcast. That's a whole other discussion. But I think this is an era when a lot of people would think that way. There are always going to be people who are like, I want that. I want to drive a yacht. I want the newest cars. I want Rolexes and Pateks and whatnot. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind having a Tag Heuer. I wouldn't mind having like a Patek.